Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
Sure is a nice cloak.
Yeah, I'll say.
I think I'll take it for myself.
What?
Give it to me. Give it.
Give it to me.
Give it here.
Give it.
Give it back.
You give it here. Give it here.
Let's not rip it to shreds. Let's just have slots for it.
Okay. What about his sandals?
Didn't this man say he was the king of the Jews?
Yeah, I heard him say as much.
Some king. Look at him up there. Look at him.
Hey, come down, Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus. Jesus. Almighty King. Why don't you save yourself, huh? Come down from there, if you're so powerful.
Yeah, man. Are you not the Christ? Save yourself. And us.
Oh, stop. Do you have no fear of God? You're under the same sin as yourself. We indeed are suffering justly. We're getting what we deserve, but this man's done nothing wrong. Jesus. Jesus. Remember me when you come into your kingdom.
Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. Woman, behold your son. Behold your mother. This man's calling for Elijah.
And let's see whether Elijah will come and save him.
I thirst. It is finished. Father, into your hands I commit my spirit.
There's been an earthquake measuring 5.5 on the Richter scale in Jerusalem. It has been determined that the epicenter was located outside of the city at Golgotha, the Roman execution site, also referred to as the place of the skull. We are also getting reports of a blackout in broad daylight, and if this is not strange enough, we have a news team already on site covering the execution of an innocent man, Jesus of Nazareth. He's been the controversial leader of the very popular religious movement among the common people. We go now to James. Well, it looks like we're having some technical difficulty. We'll keep trying. Meanwhile, we have in the studio Solomon Weisberg, an expert on Sanhedrin law. These groups have a tight grip on the people, and they saw Jesus as a threat to their domain and way of life. You know, it really is a remarkable demonstration of their power and influence that they somehow got Pilate to carry out their dirty work. Whose political cage did he rattle in? Could you shed some light on this?
Well, Maggie, it actually has very little to do with Roman law. The Sanhedrin needed the Romans, who had the only legal authority to crucify Jesus. There's been this cozy hidden arrangement between the Sanhedrin and the Roman leaders. The Jewish leaders had promised to keep their people under control if the Romans would do special favors for them from time to time. The crucifixion of Jesus was one of those illegal, dirty favors.
We have James. Thank you, Solomon.
We have been in complete darkness since the earthquake, and all of our equipment has been down. The most unbelievable element of all of this is that it is somehow connected to the death of the innocent man, Jesus of Nazareth.
James, we've heard from our expert, but what can you tell us about the circumstances leading up to his arrest?
Well, Mag, it's all very perplexing. Neither he nor his disciples were violent and posed no threat to Roman rule. It's obvious they were not trying to orchestrate a movement to overthrow Rome.
What was at the center of this movement?
It's rather hard to define. He mostly talked about his God of love. He also referred to God as his Father and performed what people are calling miracles of healing. He actually seemed like someone you'd want to have close by. Romans, Pharisees, Sadducees, and of course the disciples and followers of Jesus, who was just crucified on a Roman cross. Mary, Jesus was your son. Please tell me, how will you cope with this?
Is my son.
Don't question her. What she's been through.
You are John the disciple.
Yes.
Please tell me, how will the death of your leader affect the movement he began?
I don't know what you mean.
John, please, just a few more questions.
Listen to me.
Someone will be held responsible.
Wait, are you a Pharisee saying that Jesus of Nazareth was innocent?
No, I'm speaking of the sign.
What sign?
The sign the Romans placed on the cross. Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. A travesty. It was agreed the sign was to read, "He said he was king." His words, not ours.
What do you make of the rumor that Jesus claimed he would rise from the dead on the third day?
A conspiracy, plain and simple. A child could see that they intend to steal the body in order to propagate their heretical movement. Jesus of Nazareth is dead. His disciples will soon die. This movement will fail.
Sir, you are a superior officer in the Roman Guard. Were you present at the crucifixion? Can you confirm that Jesus is actually dead?
Yes, I can most certainly confirm that he is dead. But his death was like no other. It took only 3 hours for him to die. I've seen it take almost 2 days for some men. I wanted to break Jesus' legs earlier. I couldn't take it anymore. It's strange to hear me say that. Me, who's seen over 200 crucifixions without so much as a blink or a pause.
Well, what was so different about this man?
Clearly, he didn't belong there. Just politics, I suppose. Whatever the reason, he didn't belong there. No criminal publicly forgives the man who just drove 10-inch spikes into his feet and hands. But Jesus did. He forgave me. He forgave us all from the cross. You could see it in his eyes, along with pain. Love. I've never seen a man like him before.
What happened after that?
Well, I was going over to put him out of his misery, and I heard him cry out. He said, "Father, unto your hands I commit my spirit." And that's when the earth shook and the sun disappeared. Up until that point, you had to shout to be heard over the crying and the wailing. It was chaos. We stood guard at the foot of the cross for what seemed like an eternity, but there was no movement. And when the sun reappeared, I looked up, and he was dead. I took my spear and I ran it through his side, and blood and water flowed down my spear and onto my hand. Look at my hand. I was on a raid in the Jewish quarter about a month ago. A guy named Barabbas pulled a blade, sliced right through my hand. It should have been him on that cross. It was swollen and turning black. It smelled bad and it hurt constantly. It's gone. Can you explain that to me?
No, I can't.
I can. Surely he was the Son of God.
Let me ask you, what do you make of the rumor that Jesus claimed to be able to rise from the dead on the third day?
After today, I'd believe anything that man said.
Did I hear a Roman soldier call Jesus the Son of God?
Yes, Maggie, you heard correctly.
Where is the body of Jesus at this time?
A local man, who will only say that he is from Arimathea, made arrangements with Pilate to have the body of Jesus delivered to his personal tomb. The hill now stands empty. A gruesome reminder of the carnage that took place only a few hours ago. No one, Jews, Romans, leaders, or disciples, will soon forget the death of this extraordinary man. Born in a stable, killed on a cross. Jesus, King of the Jews. I'm here at the secret meeting place known only as the Upper Room. With me are the few remaining disciples and followers of Jesus who have not fled or disappeared. The mood in this room is one of unspeakable grief. They do little but sleep, listen for the sound of footsteps on the stairs, and pray for a miracle, that somehow Jesus will keep his promise and come back from the dead. There are many of their number that are presently unaccounted for, most notably Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, and Simon Peter, one of the inner circle.
They come for us. No, this man was at Golgotha. He carried the Lord's cross. You're welcome here.
I've been blessed, but oh, have I been blind.
Did Jesus heal you?
In a way, yes. You see, for all my blessings, I've been blind to the sufferings of this world. My feeling was that my care and concern was only for those within my circle. I felt justified, righteous even, that to care for them was to fulfill my duty to God and the Lord. But the moment that soldier grabbed me, thrust the Lord's cross upon my shoulder, and I saw the look in Jesus' eyes, my eyes were opened. I not only shared in his suffering, but the suffering of every man made to carry that same cross up that same hill to his own death. I could not forget that.
Even in the depths of his suffering, he heals us.
Thank God you're safe. Were you seen? Were you followed?
He's dead.
Who's dead?
Judas Iscariot. He returned the 30 pieces of silver, but then he killed himself. I got as close as I could without being seen. I saw his body hanging from a tree.
And what about Simon Peter? Is there any news on him?
I've asked everywhere. No one's seen him. He's disappeared.
Peter was always, how do I describe it? He was always there. Ever since I met Jesus, Peter never left his side.
And how did you meet Jesus?
I haven't heard the story. I can't believe it. Jesus saved my life. I had been caught in the act of adultery and was surrounded by the law. Even the man who said he loved me. They all had stones in their hands, and I just buried my face to the ground and waited. And can you imagine it? The sound of all those stones just falling to the ground. They just turned and left. And then he came to me and he picked me up in his arms and he said, "Mary, they do not condemn you, and neither do I. Go and sin no more." As if I could possibly do that.
Sin?
No, go.
And before this, you were a prostitute.
Naturally, you've heard that story.
I see. So you weren't a prostitute?
Not in his eyes. Never. Oh, Rabbi, this is so... These are all things I did. Those are the facts. They cannot be unwritten, and they cannot be disputed. But it was never who I was. It was never how Jesus saw me. Don't you understand? I am not what I have done, but I am what Jesus did for me.
Do you think Jesus will keep his promise that somehow he'll come back from the dead?
I don't know. It's crazy to believe, but I mean, consider all the amazing, miraculous things that I saw him do. I mean, I experienced it. We all have. Have we forgotten?
I haven't. He raised my sister from the dead. Within minutes, he came back and she was behind him. I mean, did we forget Lazarus?
Whoa, who's Lazarus?
Well, I mean, we had just left Judea, and there was a mob there that was trying to stone Jesus. And I think that's when we first got word that Lazarus was really sick. But the strange thing was, Jesus didn't want to go to see him. I mean, Jesus had healed every sick person that we came across. And yet, he was good friends with Lazarus, and yet he didn't want to go. A couple days later, out of the blue, Jesus says, let's go see Lazarus. And we're all mumbling about it being too late. You know, but Jesus said, I'm glad we didn't go before. Maybe now you'll understand when I say I'm the resurrection and the life. He said, he who believes in me will live and not die. And he who lives and believes in me will never die. Just kind of shook our heads and looked away. That didn't bother Jesus. He was like, come on, it's time to go. You know, I think he understood at some level that we believed. But what we were about to see would change all that forever. I remember when we got there, and Mary came running out to Jesus, and he just hugged her, and they wept together. But then Jesus wanted to move the stone, and Mary didn't want to move it because of the smell. But I mean, Jesus wouldn't be stopped. He was a man on a mission. He said, Lazarus, come forth. And we all stood there like we were paralyzed, holding our breath, watching the entrance of the tomb. So you have to understand, everything that Jesus did was unbelievable, miraculous. But this was way beyond my capacity to take in. Because then all of a sudden we heard noises inside the tomb. And someone started coming towards the entrance, and then there was Lazarus walking out of the tomb, still in his grave clothes.
I'll never forget that paralyzed man. That man didn't even have the strength to believe, but his friends did. They lowered him down from the rooftops, and Jesus healed him. And for the first time in his life, he danced. And there was another time where Jesus fed 5,000 people with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 puny fish a little boy had. And everyone ate.
I mean, he did more than just multiply food or heal the sick or even raise the dead. I mean, even the wind and seas obeyed him. One time, we were out at sea and we got caught in the middle of the biggest storm I'd ever seen. I mean, we were hanging on for dear life just to keep from being swept away. And I looked around and saw Jesus laying there sleeping. I went over to him and woke him, and he looked at me and saw the fear in my eyes, and the storm around us. He calmly stood up and commanded the sea to stop. And it did. I mean, he was more than a man. He was the Son of God, and he will resurrect.
I'm sure the Pharisees have a rational explanation that these stories are coincidences or outright lies.
Everything my son ever said he would do, he didn't. No one had the power to kill Jesus. He laid his life down. He gave his life for you and me. He is the perfect sacrifice. He is God's Son. He's my Savior. I have a reason to sing. I have a reason to worship. Even though it seems all hope is gone and darkness is all around us, I'll still believe.
We do have our man on site, but first I have Solomon Weisberg in the studio to tell us about the damage in the temple.
The veil of the temple. being split. Now, that's incredible. This had to be a supernatural event. It was what separated the Holy of Holies from the rest of the temple. It was where the presence of God dwelt.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
It still remains to be seen if anything will happen. Wait, you're Simon Peter, aren't you? You weren't at the crucifixion. Why not?
When Jesus was arrested, we all just scattered. I found myself at the temple trying to make myself invisible, but someone recognized me. She asked me if I was one of Jesus' followers, and I said no. 3 times I denied him.
Why have you returned now?
Where can I go from his spirit? Where can I flee from his presence? His right hand will hold me fast. If I say the darkness will hide me, not even the darkness will hide me, for the darkness is as light to him.
John, we've been to the tomb, it's empty. We went to the tomb to bring the spices and oils to anoint his body, and the stone was gone, so we went in, and I think someone's taken it. Jesus is alive!
Well, there you have it. You heard it first here. Jesus lives.